Okay, first up is Justin, and yeah, love the sweater pattern. That's really good. Shirt collar pattern is nice too. If you want to try to fix stuff like getting that red to go all the way around, you might try just adjusting the UVs. I'm just going to convert these to UVs, two UVs, two UVs, and just B for soft select. I'll shrink that a little bit, and then try to move this just a little to get that that red to go all the way around, so that it's not just one part. And yeah, I mean, I think that the arm has kind of a stretched out look, but I think maybe you only had so much. You could check stuff like this here. You might be able to fix that with your UVs as well. Just turn off soft select now. Oh, that's got this one too. That one looks all right. Just kind of pinching these shut by just middle mouse drag, moving around. But it's, it's a shared edge, so but that way I just moved it, so I got rid of that gray bit. Yeah, the hair looks all right. This I kind of want to soften that transition a little bit. I can see you did some different colors on the face, which is good. And yeah, maybe paint some more variation in the hand. Did you put a, just going to delete history, Alt-Shift-D, Control-A for attribute editor, click on the Lambert. Yeah, I can see you just put a solid color there, so you might want to paint the hands like you painted the face, put little, different colors and maybe some knuckles and fingernails, those kinds of things. The jeans are looking good. The shoes are alright, although that's looking a little, maybe a little stretched. It's kind of an extreme leather for the shoes, but I guess from a distance it looks fine. And we probably won't get that close to shoes. So yeah, overall I think you've done a good job. Okay, next up is Elena, and yeah, I think this came together okay. A little bit of a model issue here you might want to resolve. Maybe pulling out the sweater a bit or something. The sweater texture looks good, lots of detail there. The weave of this shirt is maybe a bit big, and the color itself is kind of big. For the skin, I think I would tone down this this bump map a little bit. Is this the bump? Yeah, bumped up the 4. That's really high. Let's see what 1 looks like. Better, but I think even that's high. I mean, from this distance it's not too bad, but it's pretty darn bumpy. Let's try 0.5 or even 0.25. Yeah, see, I think something like that is going to be much better. On the model, you could probably work on the eyelid shape this more. See how that's kind of pulling out away from the eyeball, and that should be a little more fitted there. It's real, just kind of stretched out. You just kind of need to push those things back. Just using soft select here, and Anyway, I'm not going to spend loads of time on the model, but you get the idea that you can fit this much better in this corner and all that. It just needs some work. Looks like you've got some interpenetration here. I think I think it's interesting you use a photo for the ear, but it looks out of place with the rest of the model, because you've got this kind of more stylized. Yeah, and by the way, on the head, you've got this real kind of wedge-shaped face. I feel like you could pull all those points forward. But again, I don't want to spend too much on the model. I wouldn't go for this kind of ear. I would paint something simpler that kind of matches the look of the rest of this. I think the eyebrows could use a little more texture. And I mean, what you could do, and you see if it's done the same with the lips, you might try to like use that as a starting point, but then maybe blur it or something. It just looks weird to have the one kind of photo element on the rest. That's much more, kind of simpler procedural looking. Not seeing too much detail in the hair. You could work on that some more. And again, this too much bump. Yeah, again, you've got 3 on there. It's just way too high. And even 1 looks high to me. I might go to 0.5, something like that. So there's still a little bit of bump. And really Alt-Shift-D to delete history. And mapping file 14, okay. And it's blend. I wouldn't use blend for pants. They're too shiny. So I'm going to change it to say Lambert, for example. And that's starting to look better. A little bit more like jeans. Okay, well, yeah, I think the texturing is going all right. I think the big thing is just the model looks unfinished in a lot of areas. So if you have time, you might want to touch that up. Okay, this is Shawna. And yeah, it's looking good. The sweater has got a good clean texture on it. You might want to put some kind of texture on the collar. I can see you've done some painting on the face, and that's good. Got the eyeballs going. You mentioned some issue around painting the hair. Let's take a look at the UVs and see if there's any hint there for what's going on. Yeah, I can see right here that there's overlapping faces, that there's faces on top of other faces. So like if I select through here, I'm going to turn off soft select B, like right there, you've got different things on top of each other, so some over here, some over here. Let's see what happens if I unfold again, Control U, Control U, Control L. So now nothing is, I'm just going to scale down a little bit, nothing's overlapping, but I guess maybe you could still use this stuff that you have here if you can get that to fit. I'm just trying to fit these into what you had before as best I can. Yeah, so now if you were to paint, you wouldn't get any of that overlapping thing because there's nothing overlapping each other. Okay. Yeah, I think you've done nicely. Yeah, good work overall. Okay, next up is Herminia. Pretty crazy pattern on that sweater. Wow, what is going on with that? Is that intentional? Because it's like something weird about that. Huh, interesting. I think the face got a little too red. I think you should tone that down a lot. If you want, you can change the saturation in here. I don't know if that might just make it darker. Kind of reduce this color gain. You could try doing it that way, but whoa. Oh, why does X-ray on? I'm gonna delete history, Alt-Shift-D, go into this material. You know, you can play with these color balance things here. Yeah, that's actually taking some of the red out. You can also add like a utility node, or you could obviously go back to the texture and fix it in Photoshop, or you know, any of the above. But right now it looks too red and extreme. The hair's got a little bit of detail, but it's a bit too black. The pants are looking alright, and shoes look good. Like you have a different color sole, so it's just the face look kind of extreme, and the sweater looks kind of crazy. Oh, it's like some weird cloth thing you've put on there. That's why. Huh. Oh, interesting. So you've just kind of gone into the cloth thing and made some bizarre. It's just very distracting with these kind of weird black areas here. So I might just do something simpler rather than that procedural cloth texture. Maybe actually, you know, paint a texture on there, because right now it looks strange. So yeah, the face much less red, and even that out a bit. And the sweater I would kind of tone it down as well, but the shoes are looking good. Okay, this is George. Maybe kind of too busy with the pattern on the jeans. It's a little distracting. They're sort of extreme, but yeah, maybe from a distance it's not too bad. Sweater has a nice weave texture to it. That's working out well. Face is alright. Looks like you painted some color there in the hair. Okay. And you said there was some issue with the shoes, so I guess I see that you put a charcoal texture on there. Now let's take a quick look at the UV map, see if that's at all problematic. Maybe I'll get a sense if that's causing any issue. No, I don't see anything there. Maybe you want to paint something in Photoshop. You know, you can do the image, you know, UV snapshot and paint something in Photoshop along the lines of the, you know, the UV maps, and bring it in that way if you're having some problem with Mudbox. But yeah, overall the textures are looking good. The hand's a little skinny. You might want to fatten that up a little bit. I think I demonstrate that a few times on previous videos, but let me know if you need help with that. And then the collar, does that have a texture? It looks like it's just a solid color, so you might want to give that a texture. Oh, and you've got some pretty serious geometry issues back here, so you might want to kind of touch that up, try to fix that. Alright, yeah, that's looking pretty good. Okay, this is Bonnie, and I think the eyes have a bit much red in them. It's kind of extreme, especially for a cartoony character, so I might tone that down a bit. You said you're using a sample eye. It looks just like a photo has been mapped onto that. Yeah, it doesn't have the lens on there and stuff. Also, this surface looks like it could use, well, it's kind of all intersecting here, and it does not really line up to the eyeball, so you're going to want to make that fit closer to the eyeball. Yeah, there's some craziness with the hair here. I'm wondering if that's because of the texture or the UV map. Let's take a look at the UV map here. Mm, yeah, that UV mount looks like it's all over the place there. So I might, yeah, just let's see what happens if I lay it out again or unfold it again. Okay, so I just unfolded it and laid it out, and that's working better, although that's going to screw up the position of all your texture stuff. I mean, at least, actually, that's a lot better like that, just like that. Yeah, I think you could put some more. I see you've done the lips, but I think you could do some more color variation on the skin, so it's not just one big solid color, and some kind of texture there. I like the weave on the sweater. Oh, there's sort of this repeating thing here. You might want to try to get rid of that if you can. Yeah, the denim texture is good, but there's no detail on the pants, so maybe get some pockets and a fly and those kinds of things in there. And yeah, it's kind of an extreme leather for shoes, but yeah, I mean, normally shoe leather doesn't look that kind of I don't know what the word is, grainy or something. I like the socks; those look good. So yeah, you can work a little bit more on the skin, adjust the UVs on the hair. Maybe reconsider the shoe leather just because it's odd. Add a little more detail in the pants, but yeah, overall you have some pretty good looking textures on. Okay, next up is Alec, and yeah, I can see you've got a nice weave on the shirt. It looks like, is that a procedural texture? And you know, delete history, Alt Shift D. Oh, this sweater color. Oh yeah, so it's just the cloth texture, which I think it could be a little bit of finer repeat. One thing you could play with this, if you wanted to, is if you drag this over to the bump mapping, you can get the bump map, and then that might be too much, but oh, I can't even really see it. I'm sort of surprised I'm not seeing more of a bump there. Oh, but here you can see it a little bit affecting the shirt. I think because it's like a procedural thing that it's like, yeah, you don't notice it as much. It's just modifying that. So I think if you had kind of, even if you had like a regular, like a solid color on there, you'd actually see the bump better. For example, if I go back here and break the color, put left the bump on, you can kind of see the here's the bump. So you can see the bump there a little bit more. I don't know. Might not need that. I would use a painted texture rather than a bump map. This is okay, but you're going to want some detail like a fly and some pockets and seams and that stuff. Another cloth procedural here. The leather's alright. You got a sole in there, so that's good. And you've painted a little bit on the face, but it looks like you haven't done anything for the. Just going to delete history, Alt Shift D. No, Alt Shift D. Yeah, oh. There is some kind of hair texture, UV, what? Something. Huh. Oh, okay. Somehow that didn't. I don't know. Somehow that's not coming through. I can see from the image posted there is some hair texture, although it gets kind of wavy and weird here. Let's see if we can see if something's going on with the UV map. I would just get that laid out in one. Well, I mean, you'd have to kind of readjust your texture if you're going to do this. Oh yeah, why is it not spacing these out more? It's just really crowding this. but then, obviously the texture is not going to be lined up if you change the UV map. So, okay, yeah, so a few things to work on here. That's looking kind of odd. Maybe you want to paint some more texture for the hands too. Okay, it looks like you got some color on the face, which is good. So, yeah, some stuff going. I think you're relying too much on the procedural cloth texture, that you should go for actual painted textures for that. Maybe use the cloth as a bump map on a more interesting painted texture, or maybe just use the painted texture as its own bump map. But either way, I wouldn't rely so much on that cloth procedural. Okay, this is Jersey. Yeah, I can see you've got like a weave sweater, but compared to the size of the character, these threads look kind of huge, so I think you need kind of a much finer texture. The jeans are looking alright, but it sort of looks like he's got what look like back pockets on the front of his pants and then nothing on the back of his pants. So I can see you painted some color on the face. That's good. You've got something going on with the hair. It's alright, yeah. Maybe paint something with the hands right now. That just looks weird, this pattern here. And also it looks shiny. You might try to use something, without all that, just delete history, Alt Shift D. And that is a Lambert. That's interesting. Why is it? Oh, it's just that specular color. That's making it look so shiny. I don't think you want to put that on there. But this weird pattern of texture, I think you need to fix. Looks like the shoes are just a solid color, and maybe you can put some socks on them and get, at least differentiate the color of the sole, or get something going on with the shoes, so you can do a little bit more there. So, yeah, some good areas. I think it needs a few fixes to get to the next level, but it's coming along. Okay, next up is Brianna, and yeah, this looks good. The jeans are nicely lined up. That looks really good. Got some interesting kind of canvasy texture on the shoes. This side stuff's looking a little stretched out maybe, but we probably won't see that too much from the distance. We usually keep from the shoes. I can see you've got some color variation on the face. That's looking alright. Pupils on the eye are a bit big. You've got some hair painted, but yeah, so I mean it's sweater. Yeah, you got a pattern sweater on there. So I think you've got a lot of good stuff going on. I think the skin could use a little bit more work on the hands, maybe some detail, knuckles, fingernails, those kinds of things. And you could actually work on the shape of this face a little bit. It's very kind of, the nose is very kind of wedge shaped, as is sort of the whole face. So you might kind of want to round that out and move some of those points forward a bit. It's like they're all kind of sucked back. But the textures are looking pretty good. Maybe you want to get, oh, you got something for the collar that looks nice. Yeah. So I think you've done a good job on the texture.